to turn my Bluetooth off. Good afternoon. How is everyone doing? How is everyone doing? I hope everyone is well. I need to find me something. Uh-oh. To put my gum in. How are you all doing? Come on in this afternoon. And I got a message for you all. Pick my gum out. Don't want to be talking with gum in my mouth. How are you all doing? I got a quick message. And I'm going to be quick this time. Literally, I am. Listen, I got on my shades. I got on my shades. I woke up with a little oh, that didn't stop me from going to church. I didn't care. I woke up with a little eye soreness. I'm gonna have to pull back from that eyeliner for a while, makeup or something. I don't know why. But how is everyone doing? Say hello to me when you come in. Say hello to me. I'll lock my door. I'm sitting here in the park shooting this video, so I like to lock my door. Do you all lock your door as soon as you get in the car? I lock my door. That's a habit. I lock my door as soon as I get in. I don't need nobody pulling up on me, just pulling up trying to get in my car. No, I lock my door. As soon as I get in my car, I lock my door. How is everyone doing? Can you all hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. I see people coming in, but YouTube is a little delayed too. They are a little delayed, so sometimes when you guys comment, the comments come up a little later than you see it on your side. They come up a little later. So how are you all doing this afternoon? How are you doing? Let me know if you can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Am I going in and out? How was the service? Hi, Jacqueline. Oh, yes, hon. I lock my doors. Listen, I don't have time to be trying to fight with these fools walking around here on earth. Look, a lot of fools walking around here on earth. Listen, because I'm not going to be fighting. I ain't going to say what I'll, do on here, but thank you so much, Jacqueline. Thank you. So you all, you see what I'm here. You see the title, right? And the title is, You're Not the Only One. We have to remember, as long as we living on earth, as long as we're going through life, as long as life is lifing, we are going to be experiencing things in life that we have no control over. You're not the only one. Don't look at your circumstances as if you're the only one that's going through it. You're not the only one. And we have to remember, it's not what we go through. It's our perspective on what it is that we are going through. You're not the only one that's going through a divorce. Right? You're not the only one that your family you seem like you're a loner. It seems like your family has turned their back on you. You're not the only one. You're not the only one with wayward children, prodigal children. You're not the only one. You're not the only one that raised children to the best of your ability, and these children will become adults, and you're looking like, what in the world happened to you? You're not the only one, right? You're not the only one that experience toxic friendships. You're not the only one that you've been friends with someone for years, only to find out that they always been jealous of you. You're not the only one. You're not the only one. You're not the only one that you got family members that are jealous of you, that are hating on you. You're not the only one. You are not the only one that is experiencing life-changing, life-altering situations. You're not the only one. I'm telling you all. And it's not like I said, it's not what you're going through. It is your perspective on what it is that you're going through. You're not the only one that had to experience abuse. You're not the only one that had to experience abuse in a relationship, from your in-laws. You're not the only one that had to experience gaslighting, manipulation. You're not the only one that have to experience people lying on you. You're not the only one. I want to bring you some clarity. I want to bring things into where it makes sense, right? Because a lot of you think you're the only one that's experiencing, just some of the foolishness that we have to experience in life. You're not the only one. Trust me, you are not the only one. And I know it's hard because we don't prepare, and we don't think in life that we would experience some of the things that we experience. We don't think we're going to experience some of those things. A lot of you never thought in a million years you would be going through a divorce. A lot of you never thought that you would be raising your children as a single mother or a single dad. A lot of you thought that. A lot of you thought that you would never have to choose between choosing yourself and your sanity or choosing your child, your adult child. Some of you never had to think about those things. Some of you never had to think, do I stay in this relationship or do I walk away? Y'all never had to think about stuff like that. One thing about life is going to do what it does. Life is going to life. I tell people all the time, life is going to do what it does. And it's up to you to be flexible with life. It is up to you to bend when life is bending. You have to bend with life. If you try to stay erect and you don't want to move, that is when and that is where you lose yourself. That is when and where you lose who you are, because you don't want to bend with life. You got to be able to bend. When life go right, you got to be able to go right with life. You don't have control over other people's actions. You only have control of yourself. You only have control of yourself and what feels good to you, what makes sense to you. You only have control over that. You don't have control over the decisions someone else make. You don't have the control, even if, let's see, a lot of you are experiencing things by way of another person. And what I mean by that is some of you are experiencing things, and especially in your relationships, because of another person. You got another person influencing, right? You got another person influencing, and they're doing their witchery and their evil in the background, causing havoc in key relationships that you want, right? That you want to be in good graces with. You got people that is in the background with their evil and causing division, because these people are miserable. They are influencing the people who you want to, make amends with, who you want to do right by, who you want to be in good graces with. You have people who are in the mix, causing all kind of havoc and chaos, because these people are miserable. They have no life. You got to take a look at the people who I'm talking about right now. Take a look at the people who are trying to make you look bad. Look at their life. Look at their health. Look at how they look. And I'm not here to judge, as people like to say. When you're speaking the truth, people like to say that's judgment. That's not judgment. That's speaking the truth. Look at their life. You got people who they couldn't wait They couldn't wait for your situation to fall apart. They couldn't wait for the person who they were brainwashing all these years to finally build up the devilish and demonic guts. They couldn't wait, right? Oh yes, they look tight. Listen, Lady T, they couldn't wait for the person to finally rebel and stand up against you because you're trying to tell them and teach them what's right. They couldn't wait for that. They couldn't wait. But see, as a chosen one and as a person who, understands life, when I say you got to bend with life, that's what I meant. You got to bend with life. Even if you got to walk away from the very person that is being used, because what you will do is you will spin your wheels. You will spin your wheels trying to convince this person that you are not who the other person is trying to convince you to be. You'll spin your wheels. You'll lose so much precious time in life trying to, and people are not going to understand you. People are not going to understand you. They're going to look at you as if, you're doing something wrong. They're going to try to convince everybody else that you're the person that's doing something wrong when you can see spiritually what these devils are trying to do. You can see spiritually what is going on. And in order to save yourself spiritually, sometimes you got to walk away from the very person and the people you love. You're going to have to walk away and cut ties, because if you don't cut ties, that's going to be the death of you. And that's what the enemy wants. The enemy wants to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to steal your precious time. He wants to steal your precious time. He wants to destroy you in your spirit. This is a spiritual fight we're up against. He wants to destroy you in your spirit. If he can destroy you with the very thing that you love, he got you. But sometimes when you love something so much, and that person or that thing is hindering you, you got to let go. You got to give them to God. Regardless of what people think, regardless of what they're saying, and how they want you to be, and how they think you should be, especially as a mother. Let me just go there. Especially as a mother, you got some people, they don't understand. They've never been in a situation that you've been in. And they want to tell you what you should do, how you should act, what you shouldn't do, what you should do. But they're not in your shoes. They're not in your shoes. They don't understand what you're going through as a mother, because people think being a parent is easy. Everybody don't have children that receive and respect instruction. Some people got children, and a lot of people say, a lot of people like to say that that is the parents' fault that some of these children grow up to be fools. They grow up and they act as if you didn't raise them to have sense, right? And it's all about them wanting to show that they're their own person, and they are. And that's things as parents you got to let go of, wanting to control, especially your adult children, wanting to control them and wanting them to do things your way. They're not going to do things your way. But as I was saying, people think that you're supposed to do certain things and act a certain way and respond a certain way. And, they'll try to make you feel bad and make you feel like you're less of a parent, good parent, because you're not doing what they want you to do, or you're not doing what they would do as a parent. And you're not going to do what they would do because you're not them. They are not you. You know the capacity you have. And I talk about this a lot because I got a lot of experience in this, right? You know the capacity you have. You know what your breaking point is. You know your breaking point. You know what you can handle. You know what'll drive you borderline insane. You know what it is. And them children do too. And if you got a child that don't want to take instruction. The book of Proverbs is the wisest book. Is the most the most, I mean, what is it? The most, I won't say important because all of them are, but it's filled with a lot of wisdom. And it talks about people who don't want to take instruction. What happens to them? It talks about it all through Proverbs. Like, if you don't take instruction, you know, it talks about how you will become and succumb to poverty. If you don't take instruction, you know, you are headed to your own demise. It talks about this stuff. And you don't have to be a person, you know, that's what is it? That I always try to use the Bible, because, you know, people use the Bible to try to control folks. But no, if you read it and you gain wisdom, you got to get wisdom. And it's true, if you don't want to take instructions, if you don't want to take guidance from somebody who is trying to guide you down the right path, and it says you succumb to your own folly, you succumb to your own ignorance, you succumb to things that is going to be the death of you. You won't be able to excel and succeed and have a good life and have a life of independence. You won't be able to navigate in life if you don't want to take instruction, wise instruction. But yet instead, you know, you got people that want to control. You got people that want to control the every mood and essence of people through manipulation. And these people, only thing they're doing is creating what I call codependence. They want people to be dependent on them because that's a form of control. They want people to rely on them. I don't want my children to rely on me. I want them to be as independent as possible, because one day I'm going to leave here. We're going to leave this earth, and they got to know how to, they're going to have to know how to fend for themselves, so to say. But you got these people that want folks to always rely on them. You got these parents that always want their children. You got these mothers that always want these children to rely on them. And that's a form of manipulation. That's a form of manipulation. If your mama always wants you to call her, always wants you to depend on her, you can't think independently. You can't think for yourself. You can't make decisions without, let me call my mama. Let me call my mama. Let me see. It's okay to get wise counsel. It's okay to get wise counsel. But to depend, and you can't make a move without calling your mama first. That's not good. That is not good. You got to call your mama for everything. I got to go poop. I got to go pee. I got to go to the store. That's not good. That's not good. It's like, and if you are a mother and you're doing this, you need to be delivered, because you have something going on in you that you want to control everything your children do. You want to control everything they every move they make. Every spouse or person they want to date or get with, you want to be in charge of that, because you want to have the say so. Because if that person is not somebody who's going to come under your regime, you don't want your child to date that person. You don't want your child to marry that person, because that person has their own thought process. They're an individual, how they're supposed to be. Regardless, if your children don't make the decisions, like look, let me tell you something. When I tell you have to bend with life, that's just what you do. You got to bend with life. And when I say bend, you bend. Because your children are not going to make decisions that's going to be pleasing to you as a mother. And if you don't get your ego in check, you're going to feel like it makes you look bad because of the decisions they make. Because you feel like they are an extension of you. Which they come from you, but they're not an extension. They're individuals. God made them separate. If you always want your children to make you look good, that's a problem. Yes, you want your children to make you proud. Yes, you want them to grow up and excel in life. But when I tell you life on life, you have to give them room to experience life. Even if life is not going to, even if they don't make the choices that you want them to make, they're going to have to learn from that. Yes, they are. They're going to have to eat them consequences. Only thing you could do as a parent is guide them. Give them instructions. Always tell them the truth, even if they don't want to hear it. If you do X, Y, Z, ABC is going to happen. And you leave it as that. The decision is up to them. But we have to get a different perspective, right? A different perspective on, you know, parenting and on life. On life. Because when I tell you I had to bend all the way down, bend all the way over. When life was challenging me, I had to bend. You're not the only one that's going through. When I tell you, you're not the only one that's going through stuff. People go through stuff. But you'll never know it because they don't sit and they don't focus only on that thing. What that thing called, where your attention goes, your energy flows, or where your attention, you know, what the little saying, there's a saying, what you keep your mind and your attention on, that is what's going to zap your life. Excuse me. And it's so true. It is so true. Hey, Michelle, it is so true. What you focus your attention on, that is what's going to eat up your time. And I remember there was a time in my life, the only thing I was able to focus on, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my power. I didn't know who I was. The only thing I was able to focus on is what somebody was doing to me, how they was treating me. And the more I focused on this person and what they was doing, the more that was elevated in my life. The more I focused on this person with their miserable life, with their miserable demonic self, that what my life gave me. The more I focused on her, the more I focused on what she was doing, the more I focused on the seeds she was planting amongst my family, amongst my children. The more I focused on her, the more she was elevated in my life. The more I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't do nothing. Because she zapped up my time, and I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to fight at that time. I didn't know how to deal with it because I was in a catch-22, so to say. Catch-22, I was in a catch-22. If I stand up to her, okay, this person gonna be mad at me. If I say what I want to say, this person gonna be mad because this person, that's his mama. Sometimes, we be in situations and people could say what they wouldn't do, and say if that were them, you don't know what you would do if you were in that situation. Especially you an empath. I ain't gonna say an empath. Let me change that. I ain't gonna say empath. A person who, because I want to call us empath. A person who's prophetic. You're sensitive. You're in tune with your emotions. You feel. You're a feeler. One thing about you is you consider everybody's feelings above your own. You want to make sure everybody is all right with whatever decision you make. We're considerate that way. Other people don't give a darn. The person that was attacking me, causing havoc in my life, she didn't care about my children. She didn't care about me. She didn't care about how what she was doing affected my relationship. People are very selfish. As long as they get what they want, they're okay. They don't have a problem. When they can run and create havoc in your life, they don't have a problem with you. But let you set a boundary. But let you say, you know what? Enough is enough. Oh, all hell's breaking loose now. All hell is breaking loose. You would have thought that because you said one boundary. You finally got some guts to set one boundary. You would think that you went over in one of them countries that don't play and threw something, you just feel like you don't cross the boundary. You don't cross the boundary, one of them countries that don't play, they'll do something to you. But as soon as you set a boundary, oh, H-E double hockey stick is breaking loose. And you know what, I noticed something about these people who I'm talking about, like the lady who I'm talking about right now. One thing I noticed about them, those kind, you got to look at the fruit. You got to look at the fruits and what they got going on in their life. You got to look at what they're battling with spiritually. Because see, these people are battling with their own demons and they want to project that onto you. You got to look at the people they're hanging around. And they like to play innocent. They like to play as if they're the victims all the time. And what they'll do is they'll project their victimhood and make people feel like you're the issue. Yes, you are the issue. You got to remember, you are the issue because you can see straight through them. You can see straight through them, and you're not going to allow them to do and continue to do what they want to do. See, let me tell you something about us chosen ones. That's what I meant to say, not no empaths, us chosen ones. Let me tell you something about us. One thing about us is we suffer a long time with people because we try to understand people. We try to get them the benefit of that. You know what it is, the benefit of the doubt. We try to understand them. We try to give them time, hoping they change. And what keep us stuck in perpetual cycles, which we have to break out of, we got to be delivered from this. What keeps us stuck in perpetual cycles is that we consider everyone's feelings. I said that earlier. We consider people's feelings too much above our own because we know how it is. We know how it is to feel how, if we do something, how it's going to make a person feel. We know how it feels. Excuse me. And we don't want to make nobody feel less than, even if they're evil and wicked. We don't want to make them feel less than because we know how that feels. We know how it feels. So we'll sit and wait and hope that they change, and hope that, they see what they're doing, hope that they see what they're doing is disrespectful, is inappropriate. It bothers us. We sit in hope. And then they don't get it. And I blame us for that because we have too much hope. We have too much consideration. And this is not the time when people show you what they're doing. After 2 times, it's time to say something, or it's time to cut them off. It's time to say something, and it's time to cut them off. It's time to exclude them from being in your proximity. It's time to exclude them. Because they have no care. You ever notice these people? They have no care. They're not thinking about anyone else. They're not thinking about how it's affecting their children. They're not thinking about how it's affecting their grandchildren, because they're not happy. And if they're not happy, they don't want nobody happy. No, they don't. Exactly, Michelle. We got to learn to receive it for what it is. If they're not happy, they don't want nobody happy. And this person just sits. She used to just sit and plan and plot and cause confusion amongst her kids. Then want to cause confusion amongst me and my children. Just because she's miserable. Because she didn't have a life. She don't know what it is to be loved and have her own spouse. To be loving and caring and have fun with her children. She don't know what it is to be affectionate and loving. I mean real love. Love unconditionally. Not doing things for people and then wanting them to pay for what she did for them. You do something only because you want something in return. You do something because you're going to pull on a favor in the next 2 days, and you dare a person to tell you no. Because you just did something, not from your heart, but because you want something in return later. I never experienced stuff like, I never experienced this. And then you want to take everything you did to your children, right? She want to take everything, how she treated her children, and want to project that on me like that's how I treated my children. Or I'm treating them. Or not really my children, just my one, one child. I say one child, let me say that. Yeah, it's just internally miserable, Michelle, just demonic. And, I had to talk about it because I thought about it. When I left church and the pastor was talking about 5 ways to, effective parenting. He was talking about that. And I just thought about, just my own experience. And when you don't have the right people in place, to really help you. To really help you with that, because, people are so miserable. They don't want you to be an effective parent because they're jealous because they were not as successful as you were as a parent. Because parenting is not easy. Oh, it's not easy at all. But when you got people that see you trying to raise and raise your children a certain way, they get jealous of that. They will encourage the very thing. And I can't wait to talk about this on my Zoom, because I'm gonna have a class and I'm gonna share my story on Zoom. What I experienced. This is my experience with one of my children. And and seeing all of because I didn't see it. What I experienced with one of my children, I didn't see it early on. I saw some of it, but as a chosen one, you be afraid to say different things because of the position that person holds, and because of your situation. It'd be hard to deal with certain things because of how the mindset and mindset of certain people, the mindset of certain cultures, the mindset of certain relationships, especially in the Black community. If you dare say something and try to correct one of the parents, if you dare try to correct the parent, let me just be transparent here. If you dare correct the parent or correct your mom and say, you know what, mom, you know what, I'm not raising my children that way. What I say goes. This is how I'm raising my children. If you dare say that, it's all hell breaking loose. Oh, you're going to feel the wrath of the gods. You're going to feel their wrath on some of them. The ones who understand and more mature, right? The ones who understand, listen, I got to let my daughter and my son got to raise his child. How he going to raise them? My daughter going to have to raise, her child, how she's going to raise them. And hopefully they raise them and do what's right. But if you speak up and you say certain things, you're creating havoc for some reason. You're the one creating havoc. You're the one wrong. And people don't have good intentions for your children. They don't have good intentions. And it's almost like you get in a place to where you don't know what to do. And the people, that person don't love your child. These people don't love your child. They only do certain things because they want to look good. They want to seem like they're the rescue. They want to redeem themselves. They want to redeem themselves from their poor lack of motherhood. They want to redeem themselves to seem like they were the savior. Oh, I was here when he needed me. Yes. Oh, chosen. Oh, listen. That's why I had to give that situation to God, because my situation I had to give to God because I wasn't going to let it kill me. It almost took me out. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Listen, I'm not going to lie. I got to tell the truth, shame the devil. It almost took me out. It almost took me to a place. This is why you got to be connected to God. It almost took me to a place that I didn't want to go. And I felt the enemy. I felt the enemy wanting me to go there. Right? I felt him wanting me to go there. Exactly. I felt the enemy wanting me to go there. He wanted me to lose my mind. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Oh, yes, he did. And I almost went there. I'm tearing up now. I almost went there. And somebody need to hear this. I almost went there. If I wasn't praying and fasting how I was, I would have lost my mind. I know I would have. Oh, yes, I would have. I would have lost my freaking mind, if that's a word to say. Yes, I would have. Oh, yes, I would have. But God delivered me. He told me to let go. And I just got to trust that he going to do his work. You hear me? When he told me to let go, he said, I don't need you praying another prayer. You don't pray. I heard you the first time. You don't fast it. I heard you that time. He just told me to let go. Because sometimes with our prayers, let me tell you something. Somebody need to hear this. God's giving me this right now. Sometimes with our prayers and fasting, we feel like we trying to still control the situation. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Because you still trying to control. You got to let go. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. Don't be on your knees every day crying and praying. God heard you the first time. He heard you. You just got to believe he's going to use all of what your child or whomever is going through. You got to believe that he's going to use it for your good. It may not look like what you want it to look like. It may look like the devil's getting away. It may look like people getting away with stuff. But I know the God I serve, he never failed me. He never failed me. Not the one I serve. He never failed me. Everything that I've ever asked for, I got it, good and bad. Good and bad. Good and bad. And see, this what makes you different from everyone else as a chosen one. Ron Michelle, girl, this is what makes us different as a chosen one, because when life comes for us, because see, chosen ones, we've been going through this from day one. I told y'all another video. We come into the world fighting, going through stuff, right? Excuse me. But when life comes for the chosen one, we learn that we have to bend with life. We got to bend with life. Just like in the word, it says God's ways are not our ways. He don't think like us. What we think God should do, he's not going to do. He's going to work in his way. And that's just like a chosen one. What people think we should do, we're not going to do. Listen. What people think we should, yes, what people think we should do, we're not going to do. Yes. And the enemy will throw anything at us to stop us. He will bring people in our lives to stop us. He will bring up situations to stop us. But you got to let them know, you got to let the devil know, I'll let this go. And see what the devil tried to do is, what he tried to do to me. See what he thought, because he knew I love my children. He know I love my children. And see what he thought he was going to do is, he thought he was going to use a situation with my child to stop me. But see, he didn't know I'm a chosen one. And chosen ones, we will do. Have you ever did something? As a chosen one, we do things that people don't expect from us. They think they know us, and then we do something total opposite. And they be like, this girl here? I don't know if y'all can see my eye swole. I had a little spot on my eye. It's still kind of sore. I was putting some hot compressors on it, but I'm going to get it right. We do the total opposite. People think they be knowing us as a chosen one. Yes, we sure do. We'll switch up on you. Because see, the reason we do that, Michelle, let me give you some insight. The reason we do what people don't expect us to do, because God be talking to us. He be telling us what we need to do. He don't let us operate how the world want us to operate. We don't do things based on how the world say, if you do this, if this happened, this is what you should do. If they curse me out, you should curse them back out. No. Sometimes somebody curses you out and they going on 10. The Holy Spirit just tell you to walk away. You're like, you know what? It ain't even worth it. Just walk away. He will tell us to do things opposite. But see, what the enemy thought was, the enemy thought he was going to make me bow. He thought he was going to make me bow to the situation and the circumstances. He thought he was going to make me bow to everything because it was dealing with my child. He thought he was going to get me to bow down. But my relationship with God, people can say it's religious, it's stronger than bowing down to a spirit that tried to get me to bow down. I don't bow to spirits. They're going to bow to me. And I'm not saying this in a prideful way, but what I'm saying is when these spirits try to get you to go against something that you don't feel good about, that's just like when 2020 happened. And I'm not condemning anybody for doing this. But when 2020 happened, there was a remnant of people that didn't feel good about being inserted. Yes, they may have done it before. with vaccines. I mean, I didn't want to say that, but they may have done it before in the past. But it was a group of us, a group of people that didn't feel good in their spirit. And it was hard for them to go against what they was feeling in their spirit. You can't go against what God is telling you. If you didn't have a conviction about it, fine. But for the ones that got conviction, they can't go against that. Oh, yes, Michelle. Girl made that situation. Woo! When I tell you my relationship even stronger. My spirit even stronger. Exactly. Michelle, listen, I know for me, the first time I heard about it, I'm like, it's a no for me. My spirit was like, nope. And I'm not questioning it. I'm not downplaying. I'm not condemning nobody else for what they did. That's their choice. But my point is, when your spirit, when there's an alarm going off in your spirit, listen to it. Because in the natural, it looks a certain way. But you know, everything is spiritual. In the natural, it looks a certain way. But in the spirit, that thing is totally different. Oh, yeah, see, that's the thing. One thing about spirits, let me tell you something about spirits. If they can't get you to bow one way, oh, they slick. They'll go another way. They'll go and get things you love. This is why God tell us we can't put nothing else before him. This is why we can't bow to things. Because the enemy are getting this the people, he always walking around looking who he could devour. When the spirits get in these people, they go to acting ugly, right? They go to acting ugly. You're going to have to be willing to let them go. You're going to have to be willing to let them go. Exactly. You got to be willing to let them go. And you don't let them go with malice in your heart. You don't let them go and saying, wishing and hoping bad on them. No. You pray for them and you release them and let God do what he needs to do in them. Let them go in peace. And this is where most of us get caught up and tripped up. And this when we lose our ground and we lose our faith, because we don't have faith that God will turn things around for us. Yet we put our faith in what we see. We put our faith in what we see. You praying for God to deliver, this person, and he may not do it. He may not do it in your timing. You may not be here on earth to see. You may not be here on earth. But Tyrenia, let me tell you something. You see how the enemy does? You see what happened in 2020. This is how the enemy does. The enemy, he works on grand scales. Not just on this little small scale I'm talking about with family, with my situation. He work on grand scales. He brought that spirit of fear with what happened in 2020, the beginning. He brought that spirit of fear to divide. You see how you say you lost your family and friends? That's what that enemy does. He come in and create chaos and confusion, and he wants to separate folks. But people can't see it. You got to be willing to let people go. You got to be willing to let people go. People are scared to go and visit their own loved ones. And I understand the circumstances, but you got to look at it from a spiritual level. They couldn't even go and visit and hug nobody. And we all need that touch. People were just scared. Instead of letting their faith rise up, people let fear, and you know fear is not of God. People allowed fear to make them bow. And what you fear will come upon you. Just like Job, some people were fearing that they were going to get it. They were fearing, and guess what? They got it too. They got it too. Fearing they were going to lose their life, instead of speaking the word of God, saying, I will live and not die. But we don't be knowing, because we're not studying. We're not studying. We don't believe. And then you got the ones who were fearful getting mad at the ones who were been standing in faith. Because I had some of my coworkers mad at me. I had some of my coworkers. This one, and she was supposed to be a believer. She was mad at me because I wasn't scared. Yes, mad at me because I wasn't sitting there fearing and wiping down everything and, living in, And guess what I said? I said, Lord, this what kept me from fearing and bowing down to everybody else. Guess what I said? That's what I said. I said, you know what? I don't know what superficial control people think they got over their life. I said, if I leave here, Lord, let me leave here with my heart right. Let me leave here with a pure heart. Don't have no unforgiveness. Let my soul be right. That's what I said. Let me get my heart right. If he gotta take me with my heart right, my soul right. That's how I stopped fearing. Like, listen, if it's my time, guess what? I don't have no control. But Lord didn't say it was my time. He said I should live and not die. He said he was going to let me, give me good years. He said he's going to give us a good 80 years. And I want to live out them 80 in good health. I wasn't going to let fear make me bow. And that's what people did. People let fear grip them. I saw fear smothering and choking people out. I saw the fear. Instead of saying, if I get it, it's going to pass over like a cold. And guess what? When I did get it, it's passed over like a cold. It was like a cold. I didn't put that fear in my house. I was the only one that did get it in my house out of the 5 of us. Guess what? Passed over like a cold. Drunk my tea. Bought my herbs, prayed, thank you, Lord, and I went on about my business. You're welcome, mobile moms. And I went on about my business. My children didn't have that fear because I didn't introduce that fear in my house. I didn't bring that fear. Before I got home in my house, I had to check myself. Because that spirit will follow you. And I didn't want my children fearing. I didn't want them seeing me in the room. Fear, I used to get up early in the morning. That was, they gave me time. Look, that gave me more time to fast. Look, I used it to my advantage. I got up early in the morning. Before everybody else, I did wear my protective gear. Put on my gloves, my mask. I bleached down the area. By the time my family got up, I stayed my butt in the room. They were trying to get in there. They weren't thinking about no 2020. They weren't thinking about that. My baby was trying to get in there. And I told them, close the door. They were coming in, Mom, you okay? And I'm like, we want to come here? No. They didn't get it. I wasn't about to release that fear in my home. I can't speak for everybody else. I can't. My faith and what I believe in is not everybody else's faith and belief. But I just know I wasn't going to let that grip my home. I didn't even watch the news. They were talking about all these people leaving. Only thing I thought about, making sure I get my house in order. If I did leave, can my kids get my passwords? Could they get into my insurance policy? That's what I was worried about. Can my husband at the time get into my stuff? Can't sit there in fear. We're going to leave here one day. Breaking news. You are going to die one day. Listen, people just, listen, breaking news. You're going to leave this world one day. I don't know why people are so afraid of death, as if we got control. You don't have control. The only thing you got control over is speaking life. Speaking life and reminding God of his word. That's it. And you trying to live the best way possible. Don't let all the stuff in the world make you make you bow and make you forget. Because I'm not going to live in fear. I'm sorry. I'm not going to live in fear. And I'm not going to let people steal my joy. And I'm not saying you got to pretend like you happy, because the Bible talks about there's a season. You got to know your season. There's a season you're going to be grieving. There's a season you're going to be sad. You're going to have to bend with life. That's bending with life. Ecclesiastes, what is it called? The book of, let me see how to pronounce this. I think it's 3:1, where it talks about the season. Yes, you can't sit here, you worried about dying. Right, mobile moms, you're not even living. And that's what the enemy wants to do. That's what he wants to do. He wants you to take your focus off living and living life abundantly. That's what the word says. He came so that we can have life and live it more abundantly. Not being caught up in people because they're miserable. They want to make your life miserable. No, you're going to be miserable over there. He wants us to live an abundant life, and you got to believe that. But you can't live an abundant life because you're too busy worried about what people are doing and what they're saying. No, you move them out of your way. Move them out of your life, and you live your life. There is a season to grieve. There is a season for war. There is a season for peace. Go through your season of whatever it is, but it's a season. That season could be a week, 2 months, 3 months. But I don't think it should be no years and years and years. No, I don't believe that. A season. We can look at it like this. How long is a season? How long is summer? 4 months, right? That's it. You in that season of grieving. Give yourself 4 months. And don't go past that. What is it? 3 months a season? 3 months in a certain summer? Got 3 months or 4 months? Let me know. That's the season. Exactly. You shouldn't be staying there. No. That was a season of me going through that warfare. A season of dealing with that situation. Like, that was a season of me going through that. I'm not going to spend my life. I went through that. I got a book from it. Listen, that was a book birthed in me. I pushed out a book in that season. Listen. Look, that season birthed the book. My bad, that birthed the book out of me. A spiritual book. I was going through so much, and that was a season. I wasn't supposed to stay there. You're not supposed to stay there. That's why I say you're not the only one going through it. Exactly. Next. We let people, and see, that's what the enemy wants. He wants us to stay stuck in our past. He wants us to stay stuck in our past. He don't want us to get over the hell that somebody else put us through, that we allowed them to put us through. He don't want us to get over that. He wants you to stay stuck there. He don't want you to get over the lies that people done told on you. He don't want you to get over that. That's why he tell us to testify. We overcome By our testimonies. That's a summary. And that wasn't word from word. But we overcome. And he don't want you to overcome. He wants you to keep your shame to yourself. He wants you to keep what you've been through your... I told the devil I ain't keeping nothing. I'm going to use my discretion and I'm going to release it when Holy Spirit leads me. But I'm not keeping nothing. I'm going to tell my story. If you don't want me to tell nothing, don't do nothing. Don't do anything to me. If you don't want me to share, don't do nothing to me. That's share worthy. Even my own stuff. I'm not just talking about nobody else because I'm not a victim. I got to tell my part too now. I'm not an angel. I wasn't an angel. Don't want to be one. I'm not a saint. Striving to be one, so to say. But we got to learn that once we share our vulnerability with people, people will respect us more. They will respect us more because we're truthful. We're not trying to hide stuff. We're not trying to present as if we're perfect. Oh, I don't know. Some of y'all may not like me if I share some of my stuff. That's why I tell you to heal. Because when you don't heal, you do stuff out of ignorance and brokenness. You make decisions out of ignorance and brokenness. You say things out of ignorance and brokenness. This is why God tells us to forgive one another. And it's not just for you. It's because you've done things to people too. You've done things. Even if it was out of ignorance or brokenness, you still did it. I know I have. But that's where apology comes in as well. That's why you have to apologize. Even if the person don't want to forgive you, you go and apologize sincerely to that person. This is why most relationships are so broken and they can never get past certain things because people don't know how to apologize genuinely. They don't know how to apologize genuinely. They give these half-baked apologies. No, you have to learn how to apologize genuinely. Even if you don't get the apology, you still have to learn to move on. Yes, you do. You have to learn to forgive, let go, and move on. Don't let the situations control you. One thing about me, I constantly work on this. I constantly work on my mind, and I constantly go and dig up things. Right? I constantly go dig up, not my past, but I go dig up behavior patterns. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? When that person said this to me, it affected me because they said it. Why did it hurt me so much? That's what I work on. I work on me because no one, you got to remember, no one should be able to affect you with their words. Words hurt now, but no one should be able to make you bend with something they say if it's not the truth. They shouldn't be able to do it. No one should be able to rattle you with their words. And if they're able to rattle you, you got something going on inside of you that needs to be dealt with. I call myself out all the time. I may not show it in front of people. If they have rattled the fence in me, oh, I may not show it in front of them, but you best believe I'm going to go in prayer and I'm going to ask myself, Monique, why did they say that and that affected you? What's going on with you, Monique? Monique, what's going on with you? And I figure out the root cause of it and I deal with it. When I find the root of it, I deal with it. I pray it. I uproot it in the name of Jesus. I uproot it and I cancel whatever that is out of my life. And I say, you know what? I'm going to move on from there. I'm going to be a better person and a stronger person from there. okay, this bothered me because I thought, you know what I'm saying? Because things bother you and it rattles you because you have your perspective of how things should go. We have our ways that we were brought up, and it really affects how we perceive things and people. Oh yes, I did a lot of that, Michelle. A lot of it. I remember one time I was dealing with, this one person. I was trying to figure out why this one person was rejecting me. And I just felt like she wasn't I just felt like she wasn't fulfilling her role, right? Her title in my life. I felt like she wasn't fulfilling her title. And then I had to go ask myself, why do I feel like this person is not fulfilling a role and a title that the world said they should feel? I had to go ask myself. Then I had to reflect on, do I really want this person in my life with that role? And I was trying to wonder, like I was wondering what I did to that person. Like, why is this person seeming to be rejecting me? And I got 2 answers from that, right? I got 2 answers. Oh, I got 3. My situation was, the reason I felt that she was rejecting me, 1, I was rejecting myself. I didn't know who I was, right? I didn't know who I was. I rejected me. And see, we can't just be blaming everybody. I'm going to be honest here. And because I didn't know who I was. Number 2, the reason I felt the way I did, because that title that she had and what I believe it didn't mesh. It didn't mesh. My expectations of the title that person had did not, I didn't have that a perspective. In my perspective, I meant my perspective of her title, right? My perspective of her title, and she didn't act, right, according to the title. And number 3, I learned that she didn't even have it. She didn't have it to give. She wasn't and I thank God too now. Oh, listen. What we think be rejection, that be God protecting us. Because at the time I was still broken. Before my eyes opened, I was still broken. I didn't know who I was, and I was trying to, understand what I did to this person. And it was nothing I did. Her issues were her issues. She had to deal with them, and I had to deal with my issues. Right? Because sometimes and a lot of times, we can put expectations on people. And when they don't meet those expectations that we put on them, we feel like it's not fair. Come on now. Let's be honest. Let's tell the truth. Shame the devil. Oh, yes, we really do, Gloria. That was one of my reasons. Yes. And I thank God that relation. When I tell you with this lady, with this person here, I thank God I didn't get close to her. See, God be trying to protect us. And we be seeing it as people rejecting us. You see how I changed my perspective? But I wasn't able to see it like that then because I was so broken and rejected. I was dealing with my own stuff. But once I healed and I realized what God was doing, I praised him. When I tell you I praised him for the good. And I praised him for everything. Because what I thought was rejection, God was protecting me. He saw the heart of this person. He saw the manipulation, the gaslighting, the deceit in this person. And I couldn't see it because the title blinded me. The title blinded me from the truth. The title blinded me from the wickedness. Because growing up, how I grew up, You were raised, no, woman of faith, no. You were raised to respect your elders. You were raised to respect people that are older than you. I was raised that way. But we all know, and this was a shock to me. This was a shock to me. What was a shock to me is that everybody older is not wise. Everybody older is not how my grandmother raised me to think that they are. That was a shocker to me, to realize my grandmother told me if you're older, you're wiser. But then to see opposite what I've been taught, that was a shocker to me. Hey, Kiasha. That was a shocker to me, to see people in there. When I worked in the workplace, let me tell you something. This was a shocker. And I know it's not everybody. That's why I say it depends on how you were raised and what you believe. This was a shocker to me. When I worked in the workplace, to see women, and I was like, I think I was like 30 something at the time. 30, it was 10 years ago. So I was like 31. Nope. I was like late 20s, or no, early 30s. And to see women act how they were acting in their 50s. I was working with women. These women were in their 50s and acting like they was 14 years old. I never experienced that in my life. I was taken, like, and I heard my grandmother come to me in my spirit, her little voice come to me in my head and say, respect your elders. Wisdom, stuff she taught me. And I'm looking at these people past 50 acting like children. That did something to me. Listen, that disrupted everything that I was taught on that job. That, when I tell you, that did something to me. That took me to, listen, I don't know about y'all, but when something go against what you believe and how you was raised, you got to learn to accept it. You got to give people time to accept it. And that's what I had to do with this lady. And not just my coworkers, with the person I'm telling you about. I mean, straight acting like a child, having tantrums. When I saw this lady have a tantrum, you in your 60s and having a temper tantrum because you can't have your way. I never experienced this because I was raised by big mamas. No, they were not perfect, but I never saw my grandmothers have a temper tantrum. I never saw them get mad when people tell them no. I never saw certain things growing up. Then for me to get around these women who are supposed to be older and wiser, I'm thinking they're going to be able to teach me something because I'm always open to instruction. I've been like that. Always open to instructions. I may not like the correction. I may go cry. But when I dry my tears, I'm going to take heed if it's meat. If it's meat to eat, I'm going to take heed. And see, my perspective was, I'm thinking because these women older, I'm talking about the ones on the job and the ones that I experienced who I'm talking about now. I thought because she was older, she would be more mature and I could learn something, right? Because my expectations were, I thought she would be, able to teach me something. No, I had to teach this woman. I had to teach her boundaries. I had to teach her, you don't get your way with me. I had to teach her, you can't manipulate and control me and make me and force me to do stuff you want me to do. I had to teach her that. This one person I'm talking about. Like, you are too old for this stuff. And people don't understand. See, people be on the outside looking in and they think, because, these people, what they'll do is they'll try to make it seem like you're they'll cry victim, right? And project all the wrongdoing on you. But you got to stand still and let God reveal the truth. In the end, he will reveal the truth. You just have to stand your ground. Yes, it's too old. Yes, they too old. When I tell you, that's what kept me paralyzed for so long. That was another thing that kept me paralyzed from not speaking up. Because I'm like, you should know better. You too old to be acting like this. You too old to be having tantrums. You too old to be, getting upset because people have boundaries. You too old because somebody tell you no, that they can't do something, right? That they can't do something. You too old to be getting mad and want to punish people because they're not doing what you want them to do. You too old to be saying, I hope you'll never need me again because somebody don't do what you want them to do. You need to be delivered. You too old to be manipulating people. Playing childish games. Trying to get your lick back because somebody didn't do what you want them to do. Making sure they destroy everything that you stand for. They destroy your name. You too old for that. And these be these very people that plant all these seeds of division. They plant all these seeds and they reap them when they get older. These be these very ones children don't want to do nothing, have nothing to do with you. These be these very ones. Yes. And this is chosen one by Christ. This is when I had to realize that older don't mean wiser. Because you got some children that are wise before their time. We be saying these children have been here before. And the Bible speaks that these children was going to get more wiser in the last day. And these children, they're so wise. They telling the adults the right thing to do. Yes. And I had to, it was a shocker to me. It was a shocker, Michelle, because my grandmother taught me. And back then, the older people were wiser. You can go to an old person. They're gonna tell you what to do. They're gonna tell you the right thing to do. Now you got these people. They are going against, right? They're going against the ways that the parents trying to raise, their children. You got them siding with the children in their wrongdoing because they want to be their friends. They want to be liked. They want to be the one that's favored. They don't want to exercise discipline. And see, you can't expect that from a person when they're acting and behaving how they're behaving. That's what I had to realize. I had to realize that, like, this lady is straight up a child. In spirit, this lady is a child. And I'm looking like I'm expecting maturity from a child in spirit. This lady is a child. Do adult things, got a job, work, can pay bills, but spiritually, a child. Spiritually, a child. No understanding. No understanding. And see, that's what we have to do. We have to ask God to show us the spiritual maturity of people. Because if not, these people will frustrate your soul. They will frustrate your soul because they'll bring all kind of havoc to your life. And these people you can't deal with. You can't go tit for tat. Listen, you can't go back and forth with them because they live for that. They're just like Satan. They kill, steal, and destroy. They live for confusion. They live for division. So the best thing you could do is separate yourself from them. limit the access that they have to you. Regardless of how people feel. No, they may not be like that with everyone else. They may be nice to everyone else. They may love on everyone else and try to pretend to be kind. But when it comes to you, you know they're not like that with you. You know they hate your guts, and you know that every chance they get, they want to destroy your name. They want to destroy you as a person. They want to destroy who you stand for and what you stand for. Yes, they do. Oh yes, girl. When I tell you chosen by Christ, when I tell you my grandmothers, them women were warriors. My mom, they raised me, so both of my grandparents, they raised me at different parts of my life. No, they were not perfect, but I thank God for my grandmothers. They taught me what they could with the resources that they had in the time they were in. I don't hold nothing against them. They passed the baton, and they passed it the best they could. But all grandmothers are not created equal. Let me tell y'all that now. All grandmothers are not created equal. I thank God I've experienced having love and caring grandmothers, and grandmothers that didn't stand for wrongdoing. They stood for righteousness. Yes, Michelle, my grandmothers, they stood for righteousness. They didn't conquer and divide. You can't go, you can't go ask your grandmother, your mama something. Your mama say no, and you can't go to your grandmother and she gonna tell you yes. No, my grandmother, no. It was a no. Go ask your mama, go ask your daddy. Daddy said no, it's no. My grandmothers didn't care if I liked them or not. I know that they loved me. And I knew that they loved me by how they corrected me. This when love. See, we think love is when a person loves you, they're going to correct you. This is when you know you're loved. Because when someone loves you, they don't want you to go down a road that's going to where consequences are going to meet you at. They're not going to side with you just so you can like them more than their parent. They're not going to do that. My grandmothers, when I tell you they corrected me, and I wouldn't be the woman that I am today without them, I wouldn't be the woman that I am, able to survive and stand on my own too. I don't need anyone. I don't have to depend on anyone. Because I was able to accept their instructions. They're no longer with me, so I can't depend on them. Those were the only people I was able to depend on, but I can't depend on them because they're not here. They didn't care if they were like. My grandmother told me the truth. I used to cry, boo-hoo cry all the time. Boo-hoo cry. How we used to say back in the day, she boo-hoo crying. Boo-hoo. I boo-hoo cried. But once I got up snotting, crying, having a fit, I knew my grandmother loved me. She didn't have to like me. She used to tell me, I don't like you. I can't stand you. She used to tell me, you make me sick. My grandma used to tell me that. She used to tell me, you make me sick, because I always had something to say. But guess what? I knew she loved me. She did. She didn't give me everything I wanted. She told me no a lot. She didn't accept nothing less from me. Oh yes, I respect them. I respected her. And see, that's another thing. We knew to respect our grandparents without them commanding and demanding and bullying us. When you got to bully somebody to respect you, when you got to make them, and when you got to yell and fuss. My grandmother never yelled. She never flexed a muscle. She never said, oh, you gonna respect me. No, it was automatic. It was automatic. She didn't manipulate me, bully me. She didn't try to, deceive me. It was automatic because who she was, who she represented, who she presented to be. That's where the respect came from. Yes, they didn't manipulate, play these little childish games. My grandmother never played these games. They knew order. They knew their place. They didn't try to go and run somebody else's household. They didn't go try to control, well, at least my grandmother didn't try to control people's houses and their spouses and all this foolishness. You want to tell people what to do in their house. You want to tell them how to raise their children. No, they didn't do all that. They gave you wisdom and guidance. And it was up to you to take heed. But that's what I want to come talk to you all. Y'all ain't no, you listen, y'all don't be the only ones going through stuff. Don't let people online and yes, Jacqueline, want to control everything. That's just what that is. Don't let people online, or don't look at people online as if they got their life in their house together, or don't even compare yourself to what you see. It looks like people got things going on. Listen, you'll be surprised what's going on with people. You will be surprised what's going on with people. That's why you shouldn't compare. Don't compare. Just know that you're not the only one that's experiencing life. Life is lifing. But see, the thing is, some people, like I said, they know how to bend with life. A lot of people don't know how to bend with life. They let life beat them down. They let life get the best of them. They let life get the best of them. You can't do that. You can't do that. Don't let life get the best of you. You make the best of life. Don't let life get the best of you. You make the best of life, and don't let life get the best of you. Because the enemy wants to take your joy. The enemy wants to take your joy. You ever notice if you're smiling, just do this right here. I do it all the time, and I noticed it. When you're walking out in public, just smile. Just, be happy. I'm genuinely happy because I like outdoors when I'm out. I like people watching. I like looking at different people, I just like watching. My baby's like, Mama, why you stare? I don't stare. I just like watching people. I don't think it's creepy or anything. I don't look at them in a creepy, like Jeffrey Dahmer or anything, right? I just like looking at people, how they interact, body language, and I like paying attention to my surroundings too. But just smile. Just walk around, smile, look at people, smile. And watch, 90% of people are miserable. Yes, they look at you like, why are you smiling? And you looking at them like, why you frown out? Why you looking mad? Why you look unhappy? You living. You're living. You're breathing. You shouldn't be looking how you're looking. That's how they look at you. Like, why is she so happy? And what's she smiling about? Or what's so funny? That's how they look. Girl, but people are a trip. But don't let the enemy steal your joy. Don't let the enemy steal your joy. Because see, the enemy, and I notice people like to control. They like to control. You got these spirits. I'm going to say this, then I have to go. Because I dealt with this spirit. The same person I'm talking about. You have these spirits that likes to control and dictate your joy. They come around and they set the tone. They set the tone. They come around with this face and this energy. this negative energy. They come around and they set the tone in the room with that. But as a chosen one, you better fight that. You fight that. You be happy. Not saying you be fake, because it's hard for us to be fake. But don't let them steal your joy. You be happy. You still talk to people. You still talk. I remember one time I used to let this person come and just change the whole energy inside of my area, inside of my house, in my dwelling. Change the energy where I live. I had to be some type of broken to allow that. I had to be some type of broken. Just think about this now, chosen one. I had to be some type of broken and dealing with so much rejection that I allowed a person to come to my house where I pay and I go and work hard to make sure my kids got a roof over their heads. I get up every day. I had to be some type of broken in rejection that I allowed that. Something had to be wrong there. And I don't care who it is. We ain't gonna put no titles. We ain't gonna say, oh, if it was this person. What if it was this person? What if it was that person? Listen, we're not gonna put no names in there. But what we are gonna say is, I don't care who it is. And I meant that. I don't care who it is. If a person comes to your dwelling and you got to come and change who you are in your dwelling, they got that much power, control, and demonic dominance over you, you need to be delivered. You need deliverance, because that's not wise. That doesn't make sense. I don't care. I'm going to tell you, I don't care who it is. And I mean this. Listen now, I don't care who it is. They shouldn't be able to change your mood, your joy, your happiness, whether you talk. This is when you know you're dealing with something spiritual that's bigger than that person. This is when you know you're dealing with something spiritual, when this thing zaps the very essence of who you are. People just looking on a natural surface level. Yes, chosen, that heavy energy. Just come and smother the life out of you. If a person have that type of energy, they shouldn't be coming to your house, for one. That's number one. I don't care who it is. We have to stop being foolish in this hour. We have to stop being foolish. Separate yourself from these people. Because those spirits are transferable, whether you want to believe it or not. They are transferable. That's why you don't have peace in your home when they leave. When they leave, you don't have peace. They leave their little demonic seeds. And you and your spouse arguing. You and your children arguing. You and your children going through stuff. Because they don't left their little demonic seeds there. But when you don't understand spiritual things, you don't know how to pray and get them spirits up out of there. For one, if I know you're not coming in the first place, and I didn't know all this stuff back then. You know, I didn't know all this. I didn't come into the understanding. So that's why I'm coming to telling you all, sharing my experiences that I've had in the past. But that's what I want to talk to you all about. You're not the only one. Oh, yeah, we know now, Michelle. Listen. It's a no from the jump. I don't even invite you to my house unless I feel good in my spirit. We have to believe people when they tell us and show us who they are. We have to believe them. But we don't want to believe them because we let the titles override. We let the titles override. Oh, my mama wouldn't do me like that. Oh, my dad wouldn't do me like that. Oh, my sister, she wouldn't do that. My in-laws wouldn't do that to me. My child wouldn't do that to me. Watch behavior. My friend wouldn't do that to me. They're not like that. And we see it all the time. Put a 1 in the chat. We saw people move in a certain way, and we still ignored because they were blood, they were friends. We still ignored what we saw. Put a 1 in the chat. I know I'm not the only one. We saw people move in a certain way, and we ignored it. We ignored it because of that person's title. We ignored it. We seeing and watching. Oh, they're not happy for me. You don't bought you a house. You don't got you a promotion. You don't told them about it. And they looking at you like, or they were like, oh, dismissed it quick. Oh, I just got a promotion. Oh, did you know they got that movie out? That movie came out. Don't dismiss you. They don't dismiss you so quick. They can't even tell you congratulations. You just got your degree. You just graduated from college and did something that it was impossible for you to do. And you going to them, oh, listen, I got my graduation. I'm gonna have me a party. This happening, that happening. The party 2 months from now. Oh, I won't be able to go because I got something to do. They don't even know the date. They don't even know the date, but they got something to do. They're not for you, honey. You got 2 choices. You can call them out on it, or you can move out of the way. You can say, I notice every time, or I noticed when I told you about this, you were not engaged at all. You didn't even care. Oh, yeah. You didn't even care. But you're not the only one. Okay? Exactly, Michelle. Look, you're not the only one. And remember that. Just bend with life. Don't let life break you. You just got to bend. Remember, there are seasons to this thing. Enjoy the season you're in. Enjoy the season. Hi, Tanya. Enjoy the season you're in. Yes. Chosen by Christ. Behavior patterns. But we overlook this stuff because, especially as chosen ones, because we want to be in good graces and peaceful with everyone. We really try to live out what the word says. Be peaceful with all men. We do. We try to be peaceful with all men, even to our detriment. Sometimes to our own demise, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I had to say that. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to sacrifice yourself to the point where you're no longer here to please people. Yes, we got to receive it for what it is, Michelle. Yep, receive it for what it is. And move on. That was a season. What I've gone through, that was a season of what I went through. This is a different season. Yes. Yes. And as chosen ones, let me tell you another thing we do. We don't like to believe what people show us. And the reason we don't like to believe what people show us, that comes from the abuse that you've experienced in your childhood. It's hard for you to believe what people show you. It is. Because you want to rewrite the narrative. I did a message on that I posted in the Chosen Ones group members membership. Because you want to rewrite the narrative. Because you had to do that a lot in the abuse cycle. You had to tell yourself something to make you feel good about what was happening to you. That's why you do it. We want to rewrite the narrative. Some of y'all been abused so bad by people who were supposed to love you, so you rewrite the narrative and say, this is what they were supposed to do. No, that's not what they were supposed to do. They mishandled you. They mishandled you. But in your head, you tried to make it sound, you tried to make it right. You tried to make it right. So you can feel good about it. Yes, Jacqueline, look at you like you got 5 heads, girl. That's my favorite saying. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, we do, Michelle. But I wouldn't dare, God says it's not good for man to be alone. And what we had to learn is pray. We had to pray for the right relationships and the right people. Because chosen ones, we accept anybody. We accept any and everybody. Because we don't want nobody to feel rejected. We don't want them to feel left out. That's just how we are. And we don't test spirits of people. Because people are good in the beginning. Everybody's good to the chosen one in the beginning. Until they find out you're a chosen one. I mentioned that before. Until they find out you're the chosen one, that you're special, then it becomes a problem. Then they see that light on you. It's a problem. They see that you're going to stand for righteousness and what's right, then it's a problem. They like you up until that point. They like you until you disagree with something they believe. You know what I'm saying? Chosen ones, you like up until you let them know you are individual. You're liked up until they see that you're peculiar. You don't think like everybody else. Oh, they like you then. They like you up until that point. But soon as you show that you're different, it's a no for them. They back off. You feel that energy leaves. You feel that, they don't want to deal with you. You feel them pulling away. That's what it is. You feel them pulling away. But that's what I want to come talk to you all about. I've been on here. Oh, wow. Listen. I didn't even realize I've been on that long. That's sad when you don't realize that you've been talking that long. That's not a good thing. But I enjoyed talking to you all, as usual. I enjoyed talking to you all. I just want to bring you that message. You're not alone. You're not by yourself. Embrace, go through the seasons. Embrace the season that you're in. And remember, you're not going to always be in that season. You're going to be able to look back on some of the seasons in your life. And you're going to be like, I remember when. I thought I wasn't going to. And see, that's why we have to go back. And we have to remember some of the things and the places that God brought us from. See, we forget because sometimes we don't want to go back in our past, but you got to go back in your past and pull on some of those instances where it was only God that got you out of that stuff. Where I know it's some instances that I've been through I know there's nobody that can get credit for that. In my teen years, and nobody could get credit for some of the things that I've been through. But God. But God. He is the only one that could get credit for some of the things that I've been through, that I've overcome. Let's say that. But you all be blessed, okay? Be blessed. Have a good evening. Let me go home and get me some lunch. I haven't eaten lunch yet, so let me go home and eat lunch, okay? Y'all be blessed.